I think Adobe looks great. I mean, it's holding up so well. It's actually one of the larger components in IGV. It's almost a 10% weight in IGV, and IGV I think has been holding up really well compared to a lot of the other ETFs. So again, when you're trying to get that sense of what's holding up, the relative strength on IGV is looking good, and again, Adobe is a big part of that. So the base here, it came down below the 10-week moving average line. It didn't spend much time there. I keep on talking about how flat bases are the ones that seem to be getting my attention right now, because during this market turmoil, things that are forming flat bases are the things that are having the higher relative strength. They just didn't give up much ground. So it's got all of those elements. When it came out in May and June, there was a lot of volume behind it. There hasn't been the same kind of volume surge as you had around that time, but there hasn't been that big of spikes either. I think there was the one the options spike and the earnings spike, but other than that, you really haven't had anything notable. And a lot of times the way I look at volume, and this comes from David Ryan. Again, the first time I ever saw him speak back in 1997, he talked about how volume was kind of like your rocket fuel, and it kind of gets you out of the atmosphere. And then once you're out of the atmosphere, you don't need a bunch of that fuel to continue on. You've got the momentum working in your favor. And so I think Adobe certainly showed that strong volume early on, and it still looks very strong. In terms of an entry, that's a little bit trickier right now. Again, we've been kind of preferring the early entries. So as it was crossing the 50-day moving average line to the upside, that's something that maybe you could have done, but it was tough. So many things came in so sharply. It was tough kind of taking a chance on a lot of those. And now it's not, you look at it, and is it like this is where the weekly still shows it as a flat base, right?
Yes, it does.
And
and
maybe
since it poked out, we don't have the blue dot this week because it
right
poking out last week, but
yeah. So that I would still again kind of give it that flat base qualification, and it's right there. So it's fine if it hovers here for a little bit, but I think this just looks like one of the stronger things out there. And look, they've got the AI, they can say AI with the best of them, so they've got a lot of things that are going on in that space, that look exciting for content creators.
Okay, so what about buying it, Justin? If it
Yeah,
looks
I mean,
good,
ideally,
viable.
yeah, I think ideally it hovers around here for a little bit, and pokes through. You know, that would be my preference, because again, you've come up from 500, you're already up over 10% in just a week and a half's time. So kind of consolidating and digesting those gains would be great, and then poking out again.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully with a market that's kind of also seeing
Yeah.
some strength, getting above the 50-day moving average line and all of those things. More stocks, more breadth, more all of those things are hopefully happening in conjunction with that, as opposed to this lone wolf that's paddling alone.